Welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
We are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port here on a Thursday, and it is a Sopranos Thursday. Apparently, a little treat for everybody. The Barnes and Michael show.
Yo.
How you doing, brother?
Dude, I'm doing good. Just chilling, getting ready for this beautiful show.
Yeah, no, a lot to...
I knew you'd like the song.
Yeah, absolutely love it. And it's just one of those things that never, ever gets old. Just like, interacting with everybody on this show 5 days a week. And I already see, Michael, we have some comments.
We do. Kev Do saying, let's go. We want the smoke. Hashtag TCA, hashtag DTV, hashtag Sportsport. Josh
Kev
B.
Do.
Yo, fam, what is up? Rangers tonight, let's get it. Michael Buck is saying, Barnes, Tony, how are we doing today? How has the week been? Been so busy with school. Internships been a fuck ton of work for me. Then he says, Barnes, we can beat Xavier on Saturday, but I think it's going to be UConn 78-73. Once we get Liam back, we are in full strength. It might be too late.
I mean, listen, Michael, I did text him the other day. He was riled about the win, as was I. I watched that game on Tuesday. But I told him, I mean, there are things to clean up. And I have to say, I mean, I think Liam McNeely is going to be huge for UConn. He led them to the win, against Gonzaga, and just at times, I mean, it's just on fire. But I think the X factors, I mean, there's really a couple of, I think what needs to, and, I was speaking to this yesterday, Michael, when you were tied up with everything. But I was saying the X factors are consistency. And specifically, it started out with that we needed more from solo ball. But as the season's progressed, I think it's Alex Caravan, missing those free throws at the end of, I forgot who they were playing. Maybe it was Xavier, or I forgot who the game was against. Or Villanova. I think it was Villanova.
Was that the night he was tooting here? Or a different night?
That might have been, actually, yes. I think so. So that, and then just in general, I just feel like down low, he's not going up strong, Michael. And that's what we need. Think back to Donovan Clingan and Adamo Sanogo.
And Emeka
Okafor. They weren't hesitating. Or what about
Charlie
Hilton
Villanueva?
Armstrong, Michael? Hilton Armstrong, anybody?
Yes, yep.
Or Hashim Thabit? Or Chuck Akwandu even goes up stronger than Caravan. That's the thing. A team captain, Michael. I just feel like I want to see more out of him and more efficiency. The other night, I think, I forgot what it was. Maybe he missed 10 shots. So, Jeff, I just need to see those things because that will be the difference between them, maybe losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament or, going to a Sweet 16 or better. So I think those are the keys. Obviously, McNeely being healthy, and maybe I don't know what you think about this, Michael, because I know you've seen the highlights, but maybe Hurley dialing it back a bit. I mean, do you think he's getting too jacked recently with the frustration with the losses? Honestly,
I mean, he's yelling at the refs, saying, "Don't turn your back on me. I'm the best in the effing game." So what? Who cares if you are? And that's arguable. And also, that doesn't give you the right to talk to people like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really a bad look for him, Michael. Horrible look for him.
Yeah. No, it's just you just want to see a little more, composure. And then I guess what were the couple other things we have for Michael here?
Let me see. He said, Liam is a huge factor. It's never too late for UConn. Don't count us out. Solo is banging those threes. And then TF Bruiser, hello, First time viewer, you got any Sicko Farmers DraftKings picks?
Well, it is interesting. I think actually, and Josh B, good segue here, says, welcome, Bruiser. So obviously, appreciate him being in the
and on
building.
YouTube. I love that.
On YouTube, we
show him
love
the
to
studio.
see that.
Bang.
We're here Monday through Friday, Bruiser, 10 a.m., talking about all the major sports. And it's interesting, you mentioned the farmers. We do a lot of golf. I know a lot of people kind of shy away from that. But being a big golfer myself and just the appreciation for what these guys are able to do on the golf course, I think it's just must-watch TV. And I think golf as a sport doesn't get enough respect as it should. Because you hear these people say, "Oh my God, on TV, I could never watch golf." But it's interesting because even you, Michael, I think at one point you had that, and I know now.
No.
Like you're,
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Because my brother, for example, was a huge golfer.
Does he still
growing
play
up.
or no?
I think he has been dabbling since he lives in Florida now.
Okay.
I've seen, him take, Instagram stories here and there. Nothing like he used to do the lessons. He used to play all the time.
Like being obsessed. Like
when he was a kid, though, growing up.
Okay.
So he definitely has that in his bag. But so I always respected it. And, we grew up in the Tiger era when he was dominant, obviously. So whenever we'd go to, like, my brother's, his mom's house, they would always have the golf on. All the guys would be there watching, drinking beer, at the parties and stuff. They would always, I'm telling you, Barnes, that was the sporting event on.
That is so awesome.
How
man.
sick
I love
is
to
that?
hear that. And it's a tradition because I think back to two, and it was, I was very young, but I do remember it. And my dad always would talk about it. His father, so you think back to, he passed away in 2001. So obviously, he goes back a long way. If he was still alive today, he would be over 100 years old. So, just thinking that, this is a whole different generation. Huge Jack Nicklaus fan, belonged to Mill River Country Club, golfed almost every day, was obsessed. And I know I've mentioned this to you before, but was the model of consistency. Only hit it maybe 170 down the middle of the fairway, made all of his putts. He always said, two-putt everything. But he loved Jack, and he was always watching him, huge fan. So it is like an old-time tradition, and they used to go nuts with like the poker games at Mill River, all that stuff. He was a lifetime member. So golf is a game that goes back generations. You think back to how old the old course is at St. Andrews. So it's just a tradition like no other. So it's nice to see people appreciate that. And he's asking for picks, and I have to say, and I know, it's a little far off the beaten path, and, he's going to have to put together, a solid round at the South Course. But going into the tournament, and if you go actually to our Reels Bruiser, I picked Justin Rose, and I'm gonna stick with that. So he shoots 69 yesterday on the North Course. He'll play the South today. He right now, outright, you could get him at 150 to 1. So, I mean, those odds are ridiculous. You put $10, you could win $1,500. And I know 6 shots back is a lot. And Ludwig played the same North Course yesterday, 6 shots better at 9 under 63. And he'll be moving to the South today. But I just think he is a grizzled vet. I would not be surprised if he had a similar round to Danny Walker, relative unknown, who right now is 18 to 1 to win this tournament with the live odds, because he shot a 7 under on the South Course, so only 2 shots back, played the South first. Obviously, that puts him in good position, but I have to say, there is a point of emphasis that's always made on the guys that, shoot well on the South to open up, like, they're putting themselves in good positions, but we've seen it at Torrey Pines before. It's a golf course that wears you down. So I think no matter how you start, of course, it's about how you finish. So
It's about what's fair.
so I like the odds there. One guy also that has been on just an absolute bender. And we talk about grizzled vets. How about Zach Johnson yesterday? 48 years young. He opens up his tournament on the North Course, 6 under 66. Right now, you could get him, it looks like, at 9,000 to 1. or no, plus 9,000, which I'm guessing that means 90 to 1. I always get confused with that. I actually want to just make sure I'm getting this right. So plus 9,000. In terms
Brian Barnaby.
of Buffer?
Yeah.
90 to 1. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So just,
I said word. Ain't never told no lie.
Just was double checking that, but that's also, some really good odds there. So I think you go with guys like that. I know it's so easy. Oh, just live bet Aubert. And we know Aubert is a talent, honestly. And Tony actually did pick him to win this tournament. So I'm sure at Candlewood, he's cheesing the mocha. We know it, but and I know I say it myself all the time. What good are the odds if you don't win? But he's only plus 175. He's got a 2-shot lead. And he will play the South Course today. So I just think value-wise, those are two guys, that I have my eye out for. And Zach Johnson, I mentioned being a grizzled vet. He's been there before, a 2-time major championship winner at the Masters and the Open Championship, and he got off, to a good start this season. I believe it was at the Sony Open, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to double check this. So, yeah, the Sony Open. He fired a pair of 66s, 70-68 over the weekend, but 10 under par, tied for 21st. And this is a guy who doesn't have full-time status on the PGA Tour. And I know he missed the cut at the Amex, but he was 7 under par. That's just a course where, they do the cut after 3 rounds. So you really, have to be on top of your game there. So I like the way he's playing. Will I be surprised if Aubert wins? But no, but it is so difficult to go wire to wire. And just kind of looking down the rest of the leaderboard here. Van Ruin at 500 is interesting. He's 110 to 1 to win the tournament. So those are some odds, and I always like to going with the the head-to-head matchups. Better on a daily basis. I mean, it's just one of those things, you want to do the outright winner. You have to, just put a small amount, and then if you hit, you hit. It's something exciting. So just my thought there. I do see most of these are from an Anthony Materiello. I'm not really familiar, but I do see some comments, and it's great to see. I know Michael's routed one of his personal favorites, Bernie, in the building.
Definitely one of my favorites. Danny V saying, morning family, let's effing go. Barnes, Mike, have a great show. Tank for flag. Who's his favorite basketball team?
His favorite basketball team is the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh yeah, you guys definitely need to. Ludwig is the pick. Anthony says he is the guy. Good morning, fellas. And then TF Bruiser saying, I hope you're right. I have Rose as one of my picks. No Candlewood, no coffee even yet. Focused on the grind. Wow, that's impressive, Tony.
Locked in. We don't usually see that. Yesterday, though, would you say temper's flaring for Tony with the offsides? I think he just didn't want to hear it, Mike.
Yeah, no,
right?
He doesn't want to hear it.
A traditionalist. I know he's been watching hockey a while. I'm more of a newbie at it, so maybe that's what it is. Or what do you think?
I don't know. I think he just hates change.
Yeah.
TF Bruiser, here's one for you. I don't know if you want to dibble dabble on this question, but one and done for Pebble next week.
One and done for Pebble. So I believe that means, if I'm not, mistaken, the whole one and done is that you pick somebody. I don't. Actually, I need to look this up because is it to make the cards just to win? And I know once you use them, you can't use it again. So maybe it's just the order of finish. But if he could elaborate on that, and also I wonder if the list for Pebble Beach has come out. Because that is a very difficult golf course. And I actually want to check what the weather conditions are, because the last couple of years, it has been absolutely brutal. And I've spoken to, and me and Tony have talked about this before, switching, the time of the year. Because you have a beautiful course, and it's like you're in California, where, okay, I know it's Northern California, so it's not like you're in LA where the weather's warm all year. But just that if it could be played a little later in the year, well, let's have it be 65 and sunny, not everybody's wearing wool caps in rain jackets when we're playing there. So right now, looking at it, it actually is pretty favorable tonight. Today's going to be a high of 65, and then throughout the week you're all in the 50s. So good, but not great. So I guess next week.
He said to
Thursday.
win and can't use again. Yes, sir.
To win and can't use again. Okay, so let's take a look. I hope that they have the field out for this because that obviously helps us out here without having the list of guys that are in the tournament. It definitely makes it a little troubling, but I actually don't think that is out. But let me just take a look on Google if we have that. Let's see. So AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am 2025 fields. Okay. Let's see what we got. So it looks like some players are listed here. Wyndham Clark did win last year in a rain-shortened Pebble Beach, which speaks to what I'm talking about just in terms of we're playing in the rain. We're playing an iconic course, to quote Michael Bucka, iconic, who Nance will be on the call too, so that's kind of a good parallel there. But, isn't that, Michael, just talk about a poor scheduling job, but to have maybe one of the most iconic courses in the game and you're going to play it when the weather is some of the worst of the year. Tell me that makes sense. Just because, geographically, we wanted to line it up because this is the West Coast swing, so it has to be on this day. We can't move it around. Isn't that a little short-sighted or no?
It is. It is very short-sighted. They're not thinking right.
No.
Thorne isn't happy.
No, Thorne tight somewhere. So I do have the field out here. A lot of big names. You got the Auberts, the Bahadias, Keegan Bradley, Patrick Cantlay, Wyndham Clark looking to go back-to-back, which obviously we know is a tough feat. But if I had to go with a guy, I kind of like Jason Day. He's a guy, and we have a lot of these players, former major champions. They kind of go through a lull period, and then it's just a matter, when they're in their mid-30s. Now he's 37. Can you refine it again? But I like what I've seen from him the last couple years. And if you look at it, last week at the American Express, he finished third. And I think that's decent value there too. I'm sure when the odds come out, and I know you're talking one and done. But if I had to give you something now, that would be my pick. But I believe the full roster of players they always usually do on a Friday before the tournament. So tomorrow we should get the official field. I see a couple more here. Or?
Yeah, we do. Bernie Kick Rocks from Kev Do.
Of course.
Anthony's tight. Nets? Question mark. And then TF Bruiser, we went over that. That's just ridiculous. That's what it is. I love change. Pro change. I don't know if he is. He's just saying that.
Yeah.
No worries. Appreciate your time, fellas. Thank you, Bruiser. If you haven't subbed, to stay up to date with all things DTV.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely.
And then there's two comments I'm not putting up.
Yeah, well, they said let's go Yankees. That's all I saw.
Yeah,
I don't know
too.
if you saw anything differently, but
no, definitely, especially Tony said it.
Yeah, Tony definitely said it, and he's probably just saying some other nonsense. I see he has another comment.
He's saying he has some trash hat on or something. I don't know. I don't get it.
Oh man, that's funny. But continuing the theme here. Of the golf, I just wanted to mention, I mentioned the first two guys here, Aubert shooting the 63, leading by 2. And like I said, we'll play, the South Course today. Danny Walker, 7 under. And then you also have Hayden Springer at 7 under. So they're tied for second. Tied for fourth, Lanto Griffin, Aldrich Poltgetler. Always one of those quirky names there. Tied for fourth with also Zach Blair, Zach Johnson. All 4 of those golfers play the North Course. And then we have, a South Course up on the leaderboard here. K.H. Lee, who's been around a little bit here, 5 under 67. And you have a slew of golfers at 5 under 67. Goodwin, Rosner, Badley, Hodges, Van Ruin, Putnam, Ricky Castillo, and actually S.H. Kim, another guy that's been around a while. So definitely a packed leaderboard at the top. Wesley Bryan, who's been struggling for PGA Tour status, and came close last year. I forget the tournament that it was. I think it was alternate event, but maybe came in second. So he's been trying to work his way back, and he's big on the YouTube golf with his brother George Brian. So a good performance here for him. 4 under 68. That was on the north. He'll play the south today. So that's really, what we got near the top of the leaderboard. And just taking a look at the bottom, you had Braden Thornberry, no relation to Nigel, Michael, withdraw from this tournament. But in 154th right now.
He said no relation to Nigel. That's a good one.
Took a second.
No, because I'm reading the comments. That's funny. I wonder if Tony gets that. Do you think he does?
Yeah, I think so. I think he was a Thornberry's guy, honestly.
Yeah, he was.
But Kevin McCall played the North 8 over. I mean, so he's set back here. And then Emiliano Grillo, a guy that, me and Tony have mentioned a lot. He shot 79. And then one other disappointing name here, Max Homa. Max Homa's been interesting because he had that run of he always wins in California. He's going to contend for majors, and he made that ridiculous putt to make the cut at the Open, and then ended up finishing pretty well last year, but has struggled in the majors, really looking to have a strong season, and he shoots 5 over 77 first day of this tournament. So he's buried himself. But listen, I mean, Torrey Pines, there's a reason why, it hosts a lot of major championships. So it's not going to be easy. So coverage today will start at 11:45 at ESPN Plus. And then, we also will have the Golf Channel coverage starting at 3. So definitely looking forward to watching some of this tournament later. And I'm sure me and Tony will talk about this tomorrow. What else we got here?
We have Kev Du saying, I got my sweet DTV hoodie hat on at the DRS. Anthony says it's a sweet hat. He's talking about Kev Du's. I know that. And then Bruiser, I hit the subby for you guys.
Let's go. Honestly, Michael, riled in. How riled are you that it's for the golf? Something that
I know
people don't think of.
I know.
But it's very important. It is one of the essential things in life.
That's one of the things that whenever people are like, oh, what are you guys doing here? When we're at the Horseshoe, and then finally it's like, oh, it's a sports podcast and blah, blah, blah. They're like, what are you talking about? I let them know golf is one of the main things because a lot of shows don't do that.
Exactly. Very neglected, almost a joke.
And then,
oh, no, go ahead.
No, and then Tony saying, let's go Bruiser. Don't worry, the usual producer will be on tomorrow. He's way worse, which is weird. He's talking about himself like that.
Very weird.
I agree with Anthony. This producer is a big Mets hater as well as the host, Soto, Kev Du. They're agreeing that Anthony's horrible at producing. I don't get it.
Yeah, kind of odd.
Only for the golf, baby. TF Bruiser.
Let's go. Obviously, we love to hear that. And I was just gonna say, terrestrial radio and even other podcasts and just TV shows and everything. It's like they only talk about the majors or a lot of times just the Masters. Otherwise, it's like a joke that you would even mention golf, which is just not right. Because golf is a great sport, and it deserves to be appreciated. So we love that we got TF Bruiser in the building. And I've addressed this so many times, and I'm just basically just repeating myself at nauseum here, Michael. But just one more time, just going back to the whole what Kev and Tony are saying about the Mets thing. It's like my problem is, I'm not gonna lie, Soto was big. Their team should be pretty good. Tough division. I'm not saying they're a terrible team. But at the same time, the thing that irks me is that they have, and this goes back to my grandpa saying this, my dad saying this, a tradition, they have continued to put the cart in front of the horse. It's just, you're acting like you're on this pedestal, you're so much better than us, talking about Yankee fans, and it's just like, you have accomplished nothing. And you could try to spin it any way you want and just stay humble. And then there's no problem. You want to talk baseball, but don't act like we, as Yankee fans, owe you anything because it's just not true. You haven't accomplished anything. You continue all offseason to act like you had a better season last year when you didn't make it as far. So just get over it. I don't want to hear the excuses, the Dodgers, the weak American League.
And it's so funny.
You didn't do it.
It's so funny how they always when you bring up the World Series and stuff, they try to act like it doesn't matter. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Just talking about like, oh, guys, like how I think it was like Bradshaw and Montana, perfect, didn't lose any Super Bowls. So it's like, but then like other players like went to more, like Brady, for instance. And it's like, you can never say that and it applies for every sport. Even I know no one likes to hear this name, but like LeBron with the finals, it's like, you can't say that you would rather not get to the NBA finals or not get to the Super Bowl just because you didn't win it. That doesn't exist. And yes, there are no second place trophies. I get it, but that is a bad argument when you say, "Oh, you lost this time, you lost that time," but you got there, and that's way better than every other team other than the champion. And I just feel like that's one thing that has always irritated me, no matter what we're talking about.
Yep.
And then a couple more.
Bernie saying, Kev do kick rocks. You low-key are a Yankees fan. And then I don't see really any other comments here from there.
Yeah, just delusion, which we expect. And like I said, you accomplish something, we'll laud you, sure. But until then, you got it.
My favorite thing is you could count on one hand how many World Series they have. On 3 fingers, how many World Series they have.
3 fingers, and then, we just won 4 in 5 years. After the turn of the century or whatever. End of the turn of the century, you get the picture. We accomplished that in 5 years, more than they have as their whole existence. As a franchise.
Embarrassing.
That cannot be.
Just like losing, I guess.
That cannot be downplayed. So just wanted to mention that. And then one more from TS Bruiser, loving the golf here, saying 2025 Masters pick. Bryson DeChambeau. Love what he's done with his golf game the last couple of years, getting more consistency with the putting, of course, winning that U.S. Open last year. But I just think he's really coming into his own. He lost it for a little bit. Everyone's, Bryson, he's all jacked up, hitting the ball 400 yards. And then the results weren't good. He slimmed down a little bit and has got a well-rounded golf game. And I just respect how much of a competitor he is. And he's really rebranded himself since going to the LIV Tour. And just the fact, he was on with the NBC guys after he finished his round when he was playing. I don't know if it was the Open or the U.S. Open, but, he's just a popular media guy. He does a lot of social media. So I just really like his whole body of work and how he's strong, short game, distance. And it's interesting, too, the haters continue here with Kevin.
Dwelling on the past.
But how about you? But dwelling on the past, so it's interesting. You don't want to dwell on the past when it doesn't, look good for you.
Right.
No wonder you don't want to dwell on the past.
100%.
But let's get past that, and let's go to the world of the National Football League.
He wants Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Justin Jefferson, the catch of his life.
Burrow fires, intercepted, picked off at a pick six. Minka Fitzpatrick, an absolute ball hawk.
Niners twist up front and get to Tagovailoa. Bosa again.
Mahomes escaping, on the move, stops, spins, flips it forward for the touchdown.
Stop it.
Aaron Jones, what a tackle. Quincy Williams with a pile driver.
I know, right? Right on cue, Michael. Love the sound of that. But the Jets making news, hiring former Jet cornerback Aaron Glenn as their head coach yesterday. And obviously, the strong body of work that he's had since being the defensive coordinator of the Lions and really kept that group together despite the onslaught of injuries that they had last year. And one thing that I really like out of Aaron Glenn is that, I mentioned he played for the Jets. At that time, his head coach was Bill Parcells. He's still in touch with him. Supposedly, there was this article saying he doesn't, Parcells at this point, he's in his 80s, so getting a little long in the tooth at this point. But he doesn't get jacked up for much, but everyone was saying that he was just absolutely elated that Aaron Glenn was named the head coach of the Jets. And just looking at the body of work for him, as an assistant coach, started as an assistant in Cleveland 10 years ago, assistant defensive backs coach, was also the defensive backs coach for 4 years, 2016 to 2020 with the Saints, and then spent the last 3 seasons as the Lions defensive coordinator. But I just love the fact, and we've seen this be a common theme. Obviously, Vrabel just got the job with the Patriots. You have D'Amico Ryans with the Texans. So, I love seeing stuff like that because I just think when you're part of an organization, especially when you're part of an organization where, they've struggled recently, but you played during a time where they didn't struggle and they were a respectful team. I just love to see that because you want to give back to the team and instill what you once had as a player in that organization. And I think that's exactly what Aaron Glenn's going to do. He wanted this job. He was definitely a hot candidate for the Saints job. I guess weather messed it up, but he wanted to be a Jet. So the fact that he has said, I want to be the guy that turns this franchise around, I absolutely love it. And I know you must love it too, Michael.
Yeah, I was even watching highlights of his playing career, which was nice to see. Definitely, a hard playing football player. And, aside from how it ended with the Lions, because obviously they were injury riddled, I mean, he seems to be a good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely. And the culture is big as well. I just think he's a guy that will be taken seriously, but also just like inspire the team in a way that Robert Saleh did not. And I think also, how do you not get and kind of mirror the belief? Because belief, Michael, is everything in life, no matter what we're talking about. And the belief that Dan Campbell had in his players, they had in him. I really fully expect him to do this with the Jets. The one thing, though, that I've been saying, because a bunch of people have asked me this, and I was just texting Chokery before about this, the whole key, though, is the staff. You need a strong staff here. Nathaniel Hackett can't be the offensive coordinator. If you can get really good OC, quarterbacks coach, I also think it's important, get a strong defensive coordinator because too many times, and I think this is why the Jet defense, obviously, at the end of the day, it comes on the players. A lot of them just, unfortunately, for whatever reason, had subpar seasons this year. But the reason why they struggled is because, Ulbrich, was solely focused on the defense. Then he takes over as head coach. So he's got to call defense, but then he's got to make decisions during the game. What do you know? It's a colossal mess. So that's just interesting there. But I'm excited to see what Aaron Glenn does. And a lot of people are mixed on, if Rodgers is going to come back. I know we've been back and forth in this, but the common sentiment for people is when they say that why they would want him back is just because what are the other options? But I just think culturally, you got it right with the head coach. I think it's time to bid farewell to Rodgers. And I know I've already asked you this, Michael, but obviously things change on a daily basis. Right now, knowing Glenn's there, do you want Aaron Rodgers or would you rather see him be shown the door?
Who else are we going to have as our QB this year?
I wouldn't mind drafting a guy and having Tyrod Taylor be the starting quarterback. I know he's gotten injured before, but he's a veteran. He's
Who do you want to
culture
draft?
Guy. It's interesting. I guess, with the combine, we're going to see where guys fall. But the one guy I do like, and I think as of now, he's not even a lock to be first round. So maybe we can move into the end of the first round, maybe move back, get some more picks. But if we could set it up to be in position for Jackson Dart, Mississippi, Lane Kiffin was his head coach, set all the records there, and did the unpopular thing that guys aren't doing now, where, they're playing a bowl game. I forgot what the name of it was, but, it wasn't the playoffs. It wasn't a big nostalgic bowl game. He says, no, I'm playing. I'm not going to do this thing where, I'm just going to focus on the NFL. He wanted to finish it with his guys, and I think that is something that shows me character, Michael, and the fact that he compiled those stats. He has a lot of experience as a starter. So that's the guy I've identified that I would like to see the Jets get.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And I see a couple more from TF here.
Yeah, he says, love the Bryson pick, especially with a lot of those top dogs injured.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a point. Scheffler's still nursing the hand, and Xander has an injury right now as well.
Yep. And then he says Super Bowl winner and Super Bowl MVP pick.
So this is like, I know it's like, how original. So unfortunately, for the golf, I try to kind of mix it up, not give you like just chalk. And I know like a lot of people don't like to hear this. But I just think I don't care what the odds are of this. It's about winning. That's what you're asking for. Chiefs and Mahomes. I'm not going to say, okay, then they're going to win another 3 in a row, but I do think they have one more in them right now. We'll see how the team looks going into the offseason. Hard to bet against Reed, Mahomes, even Spags on defense. I think, just does a good job of game management. So I think they will beat the Bills. And then whether it's Washington or Philadelphia, I think they beat them in the Super Bowl and then end up winning their 4th Super Bowl in the past 6 seasons. I mean, that's just something that you really feel like we might never see again in our lifetime. So that's just my thought there. Like I said, I know everybody's, burnt out from the Chiefs. I understand it, but I'm just giving you my honest opinion. That's what I see happening. So it'll be interesting to see. And then also some other NFL news here. The Bengals, had fired Lou Anarumo after struggling mightily on defense, of course, missing the playoffs. They go with one of the top assistants in college football, fresh off coaching in the national championship game loss. Former Temple and Miami coach Al Golden is going to return to the Cincinnati Bengals as their defensive coordinator. So I'm sure jumping at the opportunity, most likely a pay bump going to the NFL, and the fact, that he was already on this coaching staff, coaching the linebackers back in the 20 and 21 season. So I think that's a great job. Obviously, this is a huge year for the Bengals. As they look to return to the playoffs and really get the most out of Joe Burrow, playing his best football of his career. So I think that's very important. Also, the Jags, they always kind of do things, kind of ass backwards. They fired Peterson, a while ago. They've been doing a head coach search and then just randomly wake up and oh yeah, we'll fire Trent Baalke as the GM. So, now it's like you restart the process. Are you going to get behind other teams just in terms of setting up interviews? Are potential head coach candidates going to be kind of iffy just regarding what the future of this organization is, what the plan is? There a vision under Shad Khan? So I think, that's definitely going to be a little concerning for potential head coaching candidates. And Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator for the Bucks, Tony being a big Baker guy, I know is very familiar with him, withdrawing from the Jags job. I don't know if he's going to be interested in other jobs, but that came out, as well as, they did name the NFL MVP finalists, and it's going to be Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson. That's always announced during Super Bowl week. Who is your MVP, Michael?
Of the Super Bowl?
No, of the regular season. Allen, Barkley, Burrow, Goff, Lamar. Who do you feel like deserves it the most?
It's tough. It's not including playoffs, right?
No, playoffs has nothing to do with it.
God. I would say probably Lamar.
Yeah, it's interesting.
His stats are pretty heavy.
They are. 41 touchdowns, 4 picks.
Yeah,
and then had 7 on the ground.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get it.
I would say I'm torn. I think him and Barkley equally deserve it, just for the seasons they have. And I'm telling you, the Eagles, I know it seems crazy, and Domac, tight somewhere if he's listening. But I question if they're even a playoff team without Saquon. I really think.
I agree.
I think he completely changed that, and he's running the ball like this is the 1950s, and you're right. You're in the power I, and you're right. You're throwing the ball 5 times a game, and the running is just dominating. That's how he's running, and that's just something we haven't seen in a while. Good to have Tommy in the building. I know he's riled up for the Rangers game later. He also asked, is Trevor Lawrence a bust, or is that organization completely ruining an incredible talent? I would say more of the latter. I don't think Lawrence is a bust. And hey, listen, if the new coach, the new general manager want to get rid of him,
we'll take him.
We would take him in a second. So I think it's definitely that organization is a mess, and they got to hope. I mean, you just talk about culture. I mean, it's this. They're in the same situation as the Jets. But I think, it might be more attractive for potential head coaching candidates, because Lawrence, I think a lot of guys would look at it and say, oh, this guy, I can work with him. This is going to be great. And then Tony asking, couldn't you make a similar argument with Ravens and Henry? You definitely could. I honestly, that is a good point, for sure.
I see Bruiser saying top 3 favorite video games of all time. He sees all the gear behind you, the PS1 and your corner there. We have the gaming corner, which airs Wednesday nights. We just had one last night. We played Red Dead Redemption on PS3. Giddy up. That's a tough question. Definitely tune in on Wednesdays. I don't know if Barnes has his top favorite 3, but he's more of a sports guy.
I am only sports, but I will give.
You did like Gears.
I'm just gonna say that I will give honorable mentions for Gears of War, the first one, but you can play all 3 or really any of them. It's a great game, but specifically the first one I would say was the best. Halo 3. Another one, but then if we're talking about my sports games, because that's all I play, it's tough to really give an order, but I would say Madden maybe by a nose, like we're at the running of the Kentucky Derby, but then we'd have to go to replay, but then the show definitely, and it's interesting for the third one, it was always 2K.
I think Chel's moved up.
I'm so bad, so I can't put it there yet, but I would actually say the golf, honestly.
That's
I
right,
want to
PJ.
get the new 25 game coming out. I just have the previous generation console. I always say it wrong. Like, I still don't know the guy in the Rangers, Tony. I know you're cracking up, but I still forgot how to say his name. Anyway.
Are you going to make the move?
I am definitely going to make the move. It's just a matter of when. But yeah, those would be my 3. Always down for a good Madden game. And I hope they bring back like the college basketball game. I know they brought back the college football. I haven't actually even played that one. My roommate has it. And then Tony says, even when I'm not there, I still get cut off. But I just feel like, Michael, sometimes you have a lot of bad ideas. You deserve to be cut off. No? I'm just kidding, Tony. I know
TF Bruiser takes the lead over Tony right now.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
You're always here, Tony.
We're excited to welcome TF to the family. You would think that Tony could put his ego aside
but he
for
can't.
a second and just like allow us to enjoy welcoming a new member to the family, a newly minted member of the DTV family. So we love to see that. So that's really where we're at with NFL. Definitely a huge focus, Bruiser, tomorrow on Championship Sunday. We're definitely going to do in-depth previews, and we also have a pick segment that we do against the great TCA. So that one is going to go down to the wire. We're up by 1 now. So some important picks to go over tomorrow. I'm really excited about that. But for now, Michael, if we could go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here he comes! McDavid shoots! Top shelf! He scores! Captain with the overtime winner! That's the middle quick! That's a world-class hit right here. Tomsky stepping, Rick Washington made the full split save!
Are you kidding me?
Turn, side of the net, between the legs, and they score! Filthy! David Pasternak, the silver trophy to the Golden Knights!
All right. So we're all jacked up. We got the Rangers back in action tonight at the Garden, going up against the Philadelphia Flyers. So another Torts reunion spot. So I'm really excited, to watch that game. And the Rangers have just been red hot, flipping the switch, being more aggressive. The new acquisitions have worked out great. It just seems like they're playing with a new energy that was just so severely lacking, for a good chunk of this season after an okay start. And you look at the updated standings right now, they are 2 points back of the second wild card, which the Bruins, the Canadiens, and the Ottawa Senators all have 52 points. So obviously that was important. Rangers beat Ottawa the other night. But Ottawa currently has that tiebreaker. So an important 2 points at stake here and of course, yes, one would be helpful, but you want to get the 2 points because Philadelphia is actually tied with you right now. So they're just, the emphasis on this game is monumental. And it's interesting too. I know Corey was texting me about this, and I think we talked about this with Tommy You know, I don't know if it was yesterday or the other day, just about there's been talk about, you know, reuniting with JT Miller, who's on the Canucks, and that whole situation with Pedersen. But, you know, JT Miller being back at the Garden would be great as long as we don't have to give up any of our coveted young talent. I definitely would be down to do it. You know, if it's a mix of draft picks and maybe some guys that we want to maybe just move around, like a Keandre Miller being part of the package. And I know recently, I guess you could say he's done better, but something like that I think would be great. But really, the way that they've been playing, you know, it's just it gives you confidence that maybe they don't even need to do anything, not to fall into the Tony trap of not. But I just think, Michael, I've thought all season they really need help, and obviously somebody, again, getting Tony tight, but like, you know, and it's not going to happen now, so just calm down, Tony, put your coffee down. But like getting like McDavid, like obviously that would be crazy, but something short of that, I mean, when they're playing this well, and the new acquisitions, the waiver wire pickup have worked, you know, shipping out Trouba, shipping out Kako, do you think that it makes sense not to mess with it and just to keep it the same? Because right now, I mean, they do look good.
They do.
I know you're somebody who you have high expectations for teams.
Are they going to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, I mean, Michael, I mean, it's just one of those things. Obviously, I look at it right now. Of course, I can't say that. But
based off of everything, I mean, you know, the best teams in the league and all that stuff, I mean, I don't think they are, you know, just being realistic.
I think what it is, I think they have the goalie.
Which
the
is
defense
clutch.
is playing better, but I would say, you know,
They need a dog up front.
Score and
a creator.
Aggressive defenseman that strikes fear in the opponent. I would say if they got those two things, then I would say absolutely. But anytime you know, you have a goalie like Igor Shesterkin, you know, he can carry you. He needs to be at his best. He has to be perfect for them to have a chance at that.
Tony's like on delusional island. This roster certainly could. If they could, they would have won it last year.
But then he also says definitely need a defenseman, I think.
So then you're wrong. You just contradict yourself. TF Bruiser, I super respect the game podcast drop. Honestly, after I asked the Pebble question, I was like, man, they should just tell me to tune in next week. LOL. Yeah. We're not mean guys.
No, absolutely.
You got a question?
Tony would probably say that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's great having new energy in the building, and we say this every day, Michael. We truly mean it from the bottom of our hearts. We really appreciate everybody who takes the time out of their day to interact with us. It really is what drives the show. The interaction with the fans. We love it, and kind of interesting too. You know, we always like to keep track of this. Where are you tuning in from? Because we've gotten you know, people from all over. So it's interesting to see, you know, where our fans are listening in from.
Yep. Shout out to all 50 right now.
Yes.
From X to Kick.
And
all the way in between.
It's amazing. You know, I think X, I mean, just has been monumental.
It's been a stallion for us, for sure.
Absolutely. So love that.
But YouTube's my favorite, for sure.
Of course. Absolutely. But
Ohio.
So I need to ask, are you a State fan? If you are,
he's probably riled.
You're definitely riled about that national
How
championship
crazy
win.
is it that like the fans like kind of still want their coach fired because he loses to Michigan?
But I didn't hear that. Where did you hear that?
No, yeah, it's a thing. Like the fans don't like him because he's lost to Michigan like 3 straight times or something, like 4 maybe.
Yeah. I actually
nuts.
kind of want to look that up for sure. Let's see. So,
because you know they're very.
I know the first year he won and then he hasn't won since. 1-4. Yep. So he's lost 4 straight. It's important, but at the same time, Michael, what I would ask.
Wow,
those
this
fans,
is your guy right here.
I pretty much only watch golf. LOL. Wow. No, that's great. There's just not enough of us out there. So when you come across golf fans, it's great. I mean, I honestly, I don't know any other person besides myself that will listen to PGA Tour Radio. I love what they do there. I love the content on the Golf Channel. So this is absolutely awesome to have a fellow golf fan in the building. But yeah, I was just going to say, Michael, just wrapping up that day thing. It's like, okay, so would you rather beat Michigan and then not win the national championship? Is that more important? Like, that's where you're getting
I know.
a little crazy.
They're crazy.
Plus, If you can win the national championship, I don't know. You should be able to beat anybody.
Right.
So I just think it's one of those things like it almost, and I don't know, time-wise, maybe there's been more body of work here just in terms of years, but it's almost like the people that say, and listen, I will say it has been disappointing, it has been surprising, but the people that say because Aaron Judge has struggled in the playoffs, that means he will never be great in the playoffs, and that is just simply not true. Stuff changes like the drop of a hat, especially when you're that talented. It just has a way of working itself out. So I think that is not going to be a problem. And I think Ryan Day, I would not be surprised if they put a beat down on Michigan next year.
He said he would prefer Notre Dame to have won. He was born and raised in Indiana, and he says, thanks, guys. And then Tommy comes in. Sounds like the Penguins might be selling off players. A lot of big contracts, though.
Yeah, and it's older guys, and you would
Roman
think
Josie from the Preds.
the Preds. I would like that. Again, older guys, but yeah, that's a name that would be good. But I wouldn't really want Malkin. He feels like he's in decline. Tony says Carlson cheesing, but it's not that true defenseman, Tony. So I know you'd be tight about the retainment, the offensive mindedness. I understand. Just wanted to mention, a couple of those points, Michael. But on the ice last night, we did have our 4-pack. And really, this went, the way that I pretty much expected it, other than the Blue Jackets game. But starting at the top, the Devils snapping a 4-game losing streak to the Boston Bruins. So they win 5-1. They went down 1-0 after the first period, but score 5 unanswered, 4 in the second to beat the Bruins 5-1. Mercer with those 2 goals, and defensively they just did a great job. Michael Bucket texting me about Hurley, of course. Really on point with what we're discussing, right? And it actually seems like Markstrom, I'm just looking at this, might have left with an injury. Let's see what the injury was. Does it say? Lower body, and will miss time. So that's a little concerning. Allen did come in, though, and clean up the job. So I think a great job by the Devils to, get the win here. Boston's been as inconsistent as they get, so you got to win those games. That's for sure. So Devils, like I said, 27-17-6. Bruins moved to 23-20-6. The surprise of the night for me, the Blue Jackets dominating the Maple Leafs, who I believe were without Johnny T in this one, losing 5-1 at home. So their 10th home loss of the season, still 19-10 at home. Columbus, 7-13-4 away. Overall, though, 23-18-7. So they're a team that, is ahead of us in the standings. So this was a big win for them. And when you look at this game, we always talk about how important goaltending is. Merz Lincolns and me and Tony always cheese about Rose and getting riled. By the way, TP Bruiser, we are based out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. So in the heart,
big city, Michael, of dreams,
the heart of Fairfield County. And we have a big New York tri-state area following. The TCA, best group of people we know.
Mm-hmm. TCA got a lot of action in the Dream is Free episode coming out with Agent Aaron Graham with their banner in the background of him.
So
they're going to be hyped.
We love that for sure. And, we not seldom, but we have, events a couple times a year here where they all come down and, we'll watch a hockey game, watch a football game.
Play some drinking games.
Play some video games. Mm-hmm. And then there's this guy like Kev Dude Taylor who thought he was good at Madden and then got completely embarrassed by this Brian Barnaby guy.
That has to be one of the worst losses of the century for him.
But that's one of those things. I'm just saying, Michael, does it not kind of line up to
Mets fans?
Right, that's what I'm saying. The overconfident Mets fan barking for nothing, getting embarrassed, excuses, 4 a.m, all of that. So
it was insane.
It was insane.
The chirping leading up and then just the shellacking. And I know Barnes was a little nervous probably starting off the game.
I thought I was going to lose. Honestly, I thought I was going to lose, and he basically had to quit. It was that bad. So that was hilarious. What else did we get in the comments?
We got Riavo Oliver Tilt was an instant classic. Josh B giving hearts because he loves us so much.
Right back at
Tommy
you, brother.
Donovan saying more like the liver of Fairfield County. Bridgeport, big city of dreams, Tommy. Josh B, great times.
Of
We need to do
course.
another one soon.
Absolutely.
He said Tony goes nothing to do with the Mets.
I've never
everything.
seen a group of people so defensive. Like, just accept who you are.
Yeah.
It can change,
Le
but don't
who?
act like it's changed yet. It just hasn't. You have to have patience.
Jesus. DTV the GOAT. Get him, Barnes. Danny says, yeah, baby.
And Bernie, a big Yankee
He
fan,
knows. I
he's
mean,
jacked up.
it's funny because the members of the TCA that are just, so, just right in the thought, right-minded, they always come in with the great comments.
They do, and they're the best, and it really it is a perfect correlation. When they came into the mix, what they've done, to take this show to the next level, and like I just said, I mean, we just appreciate it so much, as well as all of our listeners. So it's just good stuff all around.
Tony's tight. He's just so angry. You literally
No,
bring
but
it up
you
every
can't
time.
because you
You're
can't
obsessed.
just say
it's a hockey segment.
But you just can't accept. That's the truth, Tony. You act like we're making it up, and you just have this thing. You have to combat it. You have to be in denial, and that's why there's a debate. But I was in the middle of saying Fantilli did have a hattie, Josh B. So that we tried to call some hatties yesterday, didn't get any, but but Fantilli did get one for Columbus. So 23-18-7. The Jets, that's one pick that I had. They win in overtime over the Avalanche, 3-2. Neil Pionk, the game winner. Hellebuck, nice game, 25 of 27. Jets 32. 14-3, 14-9 away from Winnipeg, so they've done a great job. Avalanche have been up and down this year, 28-19-2, 14-10-2, at home, and usually they play better than that. So we would expect them to turn it around. Me and Tony talk about it all the time. A lot of talent on the team, but just need to get more consistency. And again, a game that I saw coming. It was a comeback win. It was a defensive game. I think Tony was on the Panthers in this one, but I took the Kings, the team that he's always liked here. Kempe did have the game winner, which is interesting. I might have said that if I'm not positive, but I think I did. So just an all-around great win for the Kings. 15-3-1, Crypto.com. They've done a good job of defending home ice here. And then Samuel Helenius had his first goal of the year for LA. Kempe's 24th. Fiala was on the assist there, his 11th. Brant Clark is 21st. So the Kings are dangerous, and Tony knows that. Did he say anything else or no?
He's saying, what is the truth?
What is the truth? The truth is that the Mets have not won a championship in almost 40 years. And you could say, unless you win a championship, nothing else matters, which I will say is true, but there is nothing, absolutely nothing that you could go by that would suggest that the Mets have any type of leg up on the Yankees, but yet all of you Mets fans talk like that all the time, trying to just say how doom and gloom things are for the Yankees, and it's like it hasn't happened yet. And you would think that it was the opposite last season, that you made the World Series and we didn't.
And yes, you
yes,
can't.
Yes,
that's why he has to have this. He has to bring it up on the NHL
because
segment.
Inside, you guys are hurt.
Yeah,
Kev Dew knows that more than anybody. But would he ever admit that? Golly, we know we know that he wouldn't, Michael. But anyway, because we could go back and forth forever about that, like the offsides. But just tallying it up here, it looks like we got 11 games tonight. So we actually do have a good amount of games for an NHL frenzy, brought to you by the Hirsch Law Firm. Strike up the music, Michael.
We got it coming in hot.
All right, so starting at the TD Garden, place Tony is excited to visit, which I want to go there, but I have to say, it just wouldn't be top of my list. I mean, Boston, I just not in line with the fans over there. But anyway, they're hosting the Senators. Important game for both teams. They're all in the playoff race here. Ottawa minus 140 on the money line. Boston plus 120. Just got beat down by the Devils last night. So a back-to-back against, an Ottawa team that did, struggle, of course, getting shut out by the Rangers, getting embarrassed, the fights, all of that get chucked tight. I find myself kind of torn on this one. But Boston, you look at it, has won 3 out of their last 5 games. And then the Senators have also won 3 out of their 5 games. And if you look at the matchups this year, Senators have won both. But I think the Senators are a better team. I'm not going to lie. So give me Ottawa here winning this game. I'm going to say 3-2 in overtime. So it would be the 7th overtime loss for Boston. I'm going to say Tkachuk with the game winner. So give me Ottawa and the under. Next game up on the docket, Michael, we have the Red Wings hosting the Canadiens. And right now, you look at this, kind of weird how it's in there, by the way. But anyway, the Red Wings minus 130 here. Montreal plus 110. I know Red Wings have done better of recent, but we know Tommy laughing somewhere. Montembeault always going to go with the Canadiens against a mediocre team, especially. So love the value at plus 110. Maybe better than Knight, honestly. So give me the Canadiens. I think another vintage Montembeault performance. 3-2 Suzuki, the game winner. 10 seconds left in overtime. So an overtime winner, Canadiens in the under. Next game up, the Rangers in action, hosting the Flyers. Important game for the Rangers. They come into this game minus 150. Philadelphia plus 130. We mentioned the Rangers being hot, coming off that dominant performance against Ottawa. Overall, they've won 3 out of their last 4 games. They only lost to Montreal. Philly has also won 3 out of their last 4 games as well. And in the only matchup they had this season on the 29th of November, we saw the Flyers win this game 3-1. I think the Rangers get a vengeance. The John Tortorella, matchup game here. No tribute video at this point. But I think the Rangers grind this out. I think they win 4-2. I think it's a close game all the way through. Empty netter. I'm going to say by Foxy, who hasn't scored too many goals this year, the difference to make it a 4-2 win to hit the over. So give me the Rangers and the over, their 24th win of the season as they continue to climb up the Eastern Conference wildcard standings. Next up on the docket here, we have the Hurricanes hosting the Blue Jackets. Right now, the Hurricanes heavy favorites here, minus 380. Blue Jackets back-to-back, plus 290. It kind of feels like there's some value there because the Hurricanes have been inconsistent at times. They have won their last 3 games. Blue Jackets have lost, I guess they have lost 2 out of their last 3 games, winning last night. I don't know why ESPN doesn't update this stuff. But on the back-to-back, I got to go with the Hurricanes. I think tired legs for the Blue Jackets. That's why the Hurricanes are minus 380. I think they win this game 4-1. So give me the Hurricanes and the under. Next game up on the docket, we're going to go to St. Louis. The Blues hosting the Golden Knights. I believe this was the game we were talking about the other day, which it was. So just 3 days ago, the Knights losing their 4th straight game to the Blues in a shootout 5-4, a crazy game. St. Louis, the Knights tying it up late, and then ultimately, like I said, losing the shootout. Knights are going to win this game. I can tell you that much. The Blues have won 3 out of their last 4 games, but the Knights are too good of a team. All of their wins, or their last 3 losses, have been by 2 or less. So last game, you losing that shootout, the Knights are at the cusp of getting things back on track. They get their 30th win of the year. The Eichel hat trick in St. Louis. Interesting to see if the fans toss some Blues hats on the ice. I'm going to say the Knights win 5-2. Give me Vegas and the over. Moving along here, we're going to go to Minnesota. The Wild hosting the Utah Hockey Club. Minnesota, minus 145. Utah, plus 125. And the Wild have been weird. Great team overall this year, but at home, only 1 game over 500. Utah throwing the road 12-8-3, 20-19-7 on the year. I think this is a tight game, but I like Minnesota to squeak this one out. I think it's an overtime game, Boldy, the game winner in overtime. I'm going to say the Wild win 4-3. Give me Minnesota in the over. Next game up, moving to 9 o'clock, Calgary. Battle against the Sabres here. Right now, the Flames, who are 22, 16, and 7, minus 135 favorites, going up against the Blues here. And if you look at the total set for this game right now, coming in at 5.5. The way that the Sabres have played this year, I just can't take them. I know they beat Carolina back on the 15th. They won their last game against Vancouver. The Flames have lost 2 games to St. Louis. Did win last time out against Winnipeg. But I think at home, where they're 14-6-3, they get the job done here. Huber Dow, 2 goals and an assist. Flames 4-2. Flames in the over. Next game up on the schedule, we're gonna go here to Edmonton. The Oilers, the McDavid suspension, which is key, going up against the Canucks. So against a better team, Canucks have been weird this year. 2016 and 10 overtime losses. 12-6-4 away. From Vancouver, but I think the Battle of Canada, as Tony would say, give me Edmonton. Draisaitl has 34 goals on the season, 2 more to make it 36. I think the Oilers really play their best game here, winning 6-2. Oilers in the over. Next game up, the Penguins in Anaheim, the Honda Center. We talk about the Penguins, the uncertainty of the team, the veteran sell-offs. They have won 2 of their last 3. The Ducks are on a 4-game losing streak. So kind of difficult, to kind of gauge the teams. Are the Penguins kind of uncertain, thinking about who's going to be off this team. But I think the grizzled vets, again, a Crosby-Malkin spot. I like them to win this game. I'm going to say they win this one 3-1. So they get some good tending. I don't know if they're going to go with Nedeljkovic in this one or not. I would imagine so, since they didn't play last night. So give me the Penguins and the under. Moving along here, next game up on the schedule, we have the final 2 here. The Kraken hosting the Capitals. Capitals minus 140 here. Seattle plus 120. And it's interesting, too. Obviously, Capitals far better record on the season here. 32-10-5. The Kraken 21-24-3. Kraken have won 3 out of 4. Capitals have won their last 5. These teams haven't played yet this season. And I think Ovechkin, big game here. He's inching towards that goal record. 2 goals and an assist after not having a point last time out. I think Washington imposing their will 5-2. Give me the Capitals and the over. In the last game of the night, we have the Predators and the Sharks. Right now, San Jose at home plus 210. The Predators minus 250. And this was the game from 2 nights ago that the Sharks had a 4-goal lead and ended up losing their 4th straight. 7-5, getting outscored, 7-1 to finish that game. Kind of nuts. Preds, terrible start to the year. A lot of Grizzly vets. Are they going to trade guys? We mentioned Jose. Obviously, there's Stamkos on that team as well. You got Forsberg, so there's guys that could be moved. Saros has done well in net. But I think San Jose gets the revenge here. Love the value, Tony. So give me the Sharks here. I'm going to say they're going to win this game. Another high-scoring game. I'm going to say they win 6-3. Sharks over, just like that. That is your Thursday Frozen Frenzy. So definitely an interesting slate of hockey tonight. I see Ernie is in the building saying, yeah. So always good to have Ernie with us here. And then what else did we get from Bruiser? Oh, and Mountain View, Tommy riled.
Top 2 personal goals for 2025.
Wow, that's an interesting one. One that I haven't really thought about, Michael. I don't know if you have anything to offer here.
Get Downtime's YouTube to 10K by the end of this year. And another one is XRP to the moon.
Yeah, honestly, I would say I agree with those. And if we want to add a couple more, I would say to break my career low of 80 on the golf course and to really ramp it up fitness level, the basketball, getting in prime shape. So to give you a bonus to there, Love to hear that, though. Definitely a great question, though. Definitely a great question. Bruiser really on the ball here, for sure. So we love the interaction here. Because you're here, Michael, it's only a tradition. We do have to go to the world of the National Basketball Association.
LeBron James at the buzzer. He banks in the three, and the Lakers win the game.
Already have some love here.
Right,
Tommy
all right.
is my freaking guy. TF Bruiser.
He's talking about Tommy Donovan?
I think so.
Let's go. So he is fired up. One thing I wanted to mention, I heard about this on the radio this morning. I think it was on Rick and Dave, if I'm not mistaken. Either that or it was Boomer and Gio. But the whole Jimmy Butler thing, suspended again, and I guess he really wants to go to the Suns. They have like an extension worked out, and he even said that he would decline his 50-something player option after the season. Do you have any insight on what the hell is going on there? Is it that Butler just can't take whatever criticism he was given? I feel like you've always been big on Jimmy, but it seems like we're getting a different version of him this year.
Yeah,
Am
no,
I missing
definitely.
something?
No, I'm with you. I mean, it's tough to see. It's not a good look. And, I think what turned was when Pat Riley called him out, when Jimmy was like, if I was playing, we would have beaten the Celtics or whatever. And then Pat Riley was like, well, you have to actually be in the playoffs to do that, so keep your mouth shut. And it's clearly he's an emotional baby with it.
We saw him have trouble in Minnesota.
Yep.
And it's like, I think he's a great player, but also is it like, do you think, and I understand, you need, everybody needs to be confident. I understand that. But do you think he carries himself in a way that doesn't line up with someone? And I know it's a team sport, but somebody that's never won a championship.
I mean, it looks like it.
Yeah. So I just didn't expect that. It seems like it was a match in heaven because, the Heat obviously have one of the more rigorous training, in the NBA. Butler seems to be a hard worker, but it's just, this is nuts. And I think it's just like one of those things. It's like, I'm sure Pat Riley, is just like, listen, nobody is directing me.
Yeah.
I'm calling the shots
Definitely.
here, buddy. We know he's thinking that, but at the same time, it's like, I think he's still better off trading him sooner rather than later because the longer you let it linger, we saw this with the Nets with Kyrie and KD, the value just plummets. And
I would just trade him to a shit team, though.
And he doesn't have a no trade, right? No, the problem is, I guess, and Beal wants to get out of the Suns, so I guess that's what they're thinking.
And
but
3
Beal
picks.
doesn't want to waive his no trade clause. I guess I don't understand or won't because he doesn't want to go to Miami. I don't. Did you hear anything about that situation too? I know but I think the problem with him too in Washington his whole career,
He's
the
guy.
dysfunction. He's not used to being on a team where there's high expectations.
Yeah. I mean, he was the guy too there, and now he's the third or fourth option. It's crazy.
And the Suns, I feel like, are just so desperate, and it's just kind of ironic. KD, it seems
not
like
a leader.
He's had these problems. Since Golden State, it has been anything but smooth for Kevin Durant, and it's just crazy. Before we know it, blink of an eye, Michael,
He'll be
his
retired.
career's gonna be over.
Yeah.
So kind of nuts here. A story of the year too. I'm just seeing on here that doesn't get talked about, and I know you've always been big on Cade.
Dude.
How about the Pistons? They beat the Hawks last night. They're 23-21. Cade 29 points, 6 rebounds, 11
We drafted
assists.
him. I told Tony.
And
I saw him live. I saw him play live in high school when he was teammates with Scotty Barnes. That was when I sat next to your boy LeBron James. It was I knew then that he was going to be a stud in the league. I mean, he's a big point guard, and he's a team player. He's not a guy who looks to draw fouls. He just plays through contact, and if you call it, you call it. And he's a dog, and I'm excited for his career, and I'm glad that Detroit is making a turn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have been at the bottom of the standings for quite some time. So to see them kind of have this renaissance.
They all play hard.
Yeah, no, that's the key. And I know you love this too because you've always been, of course, a big basketball guy. But just when teams that have been struggling for so long with younger talent, just get it together, it's awesome.
Yeah,
honestly.
no,
It's really,
I mean, I could see Detroit being the Knicks, honestly.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that'll be interesting. The Suns, the beat down the Nets, but we know it's the Nets. They're missing all these guys. We get it. But 108-84. Wolves edging out the Mavs 115-114. Luka's still banged up there, but Kyrie 36-9. So be interesting to see if they get on a run when he comes back. The Cavs fall to the Rockets. Rockets, kind of one of those teams no one talks about. They're 29-14, 109-108. And I guess the Cavs missing some free throws down the line, but 36-7 this year. Jared Allen, a personal favorite of mine, 17 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks. Grizz 113-120 over the Hornets. Hornets 11-29. Williams, though, did have 38 points, 9 rebounds. Bane leading the way from Memphis, 24-8. Seems like they kind of have recovered of having some up and down seasons. Thunder led by a career high 54 points from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Win 123-114. They're 36-7, 20-2 at home. We know how dangerous they are. The Warriors continue to struggle, losing to the Kings 123-117. I guess Draymond wants to clear the air with Jordan Poole, supposedly.
Yeah, I saw he
but
tweeted
it just
or whatever.
seems like an organization not going in the right direction. And then the Celtics edge out the Clippers in overtime, 117-113. Domac cheesing somewhere. Tatum, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. So that was the action on the court last night. I guess the Pelicans game was postponed, I'm thinking, due to the snow in New Orleans, because they don't know how to handle it. And let's see, today we have a decent amount of games. Celtics Lakers is on at 10. That's a TNT spot. And I just want to see. Oh, and then Heat Bucks at 7:30. Butler suspended, so the Bucks 7.5 point favorites there. So it's interesting. Now, if you had to go Houdini here, Michael, I'm guessing you have the Cavs in the finals. Is that?
Yeah, I would say like Cavs, Bucks, maybe.
Well, Cavs, Bucks, Eastern Conference. But
yes.
What do you think out of the West?
OKC probably.
Yeah.
Because they don't have Chet right now, and they're doing all this.
And then who do you think ultimately, is going to be hoisting the Larry O'Brien?
It's a tough one. I mean, I could see the Bucks going on a run, honestly, and doing it again.
Wow. I mean, crazy what
stars, elevate in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know?
It's crazy what the different perception you would get from people on Doc Rivers too if he does that. I don't know, but would you say that it's earned, or you would still be like, well, I mean,
I don't know. We'll see. He hasn't done it yet, so just like Thibs.
When it happens, you'll believe it.
Yeah.
And then so that's it really for NBA. And then I just wanted to mention too here, the Johnnies 79-71 last night over Xavier in overtime. So Rick Pitino working his magic there in his second season at St. John's, a team that has really struggled for the better part. Let's face it, over the past 20 years. I mean, sure, they've had decent years, but nothing like this where they're ranked high. There's high expectations. Teams possibly think that they may win it all, which is really something. But just what a job Pitino has done there. And they got some balanced scoring last night. Kadri Richmond had 19 points, 7 rebounds. Luis Jr., 16 points, 7 boards. And then they had Wilcher, 16 points, also for the Johnnies. And one thing that's going to win you games come March is free throw shooting, 81.5% of the line, which is good. And this is a game they were down 10 at the half. So the resilience of the Red Storm. And in terms of this Big East Conference, and I know you don't have to win your conference tournament to, cut down the nets in March, but I really think, and we haven't seen the teams match up yet, they're going to be a huge thorn and possibly, an impediment here to the Huskies winning the Big East because they look really good right now. And the Huskies 6-2 in conference, 14-5. Storm 8-1, 17-3 overall. Are you a Patino guy? Would you say, Michael? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just body of work and like obviously things haven't always been, hunky dory. You know, he had some recruiting violations, like going for some jobs. But the fact that he's still hungry in his early 70s to coach, I think everybody should respect his ambition and his dedication to his craft.
Yeah, 100%. Did you hear Dave's story about Rick Pitino?
I don't think so.
The other day, I guess like they were running, him and his wife or something. I don't know where it was, some park or something. And Rick Pitino was there, and he just kept staring at Dave's wife. And,
Really?
Yeah, and like Dave can only run like 2 laps, and he was funny telling the story. Basically, like I wanted to keep going because Rick doesn't stop running, and he's like checking out his wife, and Dave's like, "Stay away from my wife." It's just funny.
Oh man, yeah. So I mean, kind of speaking to that, and we've heard some other stuff through the grapevine, but I can only speak, Michael, to his dedication on the court to his players.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'm talking about, and I think he does a great job. The other stuff. Listen, I mean, there might be some documentaries that come out down the line. Who knows? But we always get a good chuckle out of Richard.
Yep.
And upcoming for them at Georgetown 5 days from now. And then they will host Providence. And then 2 big games, just like UConn has 2 big games against Marquette and St. John's. They'll play Marquette. And then, of course, UConn on the 7th. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting to, the stretch run. For college basketball. Before we know it, we'll have conference tournaments, Selection Sunday, all of that stuff coming up in early March. So yeah, looking forward to following that. And then Ernie says that his Diamond Dynasty team is better than mine.
Yeah, that's what he says.
It's interesting. I don't know what it is, Ernie. I never really did like any ultimate teams, Diamond Dynasties. I always just have liked heads up play, whether that's in person or online. That's always just with the franchise. I've done a lot of franchises, but I'm not gonna lie. But just at this point, I don't know. It gets a little monotonous for me. But I think I probably would like Diamond Dynasty, so maybe I'll give that a try. But it would be awesome to play one time. Maybe we'll get a TCA gaming corner scenario going.
That'd be fun.
Great to have like
I would love that.
Tournament. Multiple consoles, Michael.
Yes, us versus them.
Back
I mean,
to me,
I
back
would
to
feel
you,
bad.
Matt on the play-by-play.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean,
2K is just over for them. I mean, that's in the bag.
It's unbelievable. And one thing, because I feel like I think I mentioned this last time to you when we were gaming. I know we didn't end up playing 2K, but what is the thing that you do that I feel like it's the difference as to why you like? Is it the
adjustments?
Preset? No, but it's like a preset.
No,
like,
I just call ISO, space the floor basically, and then just do the pick and roll, pick and pop, whatever the defense is giving me.
But it seems like you can't, like, if I'm playing somebody like you and I don't do that stuff, it seems like it's almost impossible for me to win because it just seems like you're just defending everything well. It's just but when someone's not doing those things, you feel like it's like you could defend anybody. Like it's like you just.
I mean, it makes it way easier to defend because the AIs are just doing their own thing basically on the floor, so there's not that good of spacing. Joey Greenwood coming in here, producer for the Gaming Corner, saying gaming tournaments would be a great way to promote DTV. No, we definitely are thinking about it. It would be a fun time, especially with the TCA. I could definitely see a sports bonanza tournament with Madden and MLB and 2K and NHL.
The golf even for Bruiser. Maybe we'll fly him in.
Oh, definitely. That would be fun. Speaking of Bruiser, escape from Tarkov equals goated.
Context?
Let's Joey and Tony.
But what is that, though?
It is a video game,
okay.
multiplayer tactical first-person shooter video game in development by Battle State Games for Microsoft Windows. So he's a PC gamer, that says. The game is set in the fictional Norvinsk region in northwestern Russia, where a war is taking place between 2 private military companies.
Wow. Wow.
Sounds cool. Joey definitely is into that. Yeah.
Extraction shooter.
Yeah, Joey. Yeah, Joey.
And for you, Michael, for the non-sports games, would you say Gears was always
Gears, Halo. I was a big Halo guy.
But Halo over Gears? Like, if you had to.
Yes.
Okay.
Just because Halo 1, Halo 2 for me, and even Halo 3, but those first two were talk about logging hours. Skyrim, Joey knows, definitely. Oh, nah, Tarkov is not my jam. Joey's so happy to say that because he loves when I'm wrong. But also, obviously, 2K. I've definitely logged the most hours in that game.
2K.
Yeah.
And did you? Okay, so that for 2K, but you were, because I always get confused about this. So the thing you were doing, my player though.
Yeah. So you create your my player, and whether it's a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, or center, you create. You get them good. You find players. And you create a team. And what I was doing was trying to make the NBA 2K League. So in order to do that, you obviously have to do a bunch of stuff like a combine and all these different things to then get to the next, tier or whatever it's called to allow you to move forward into the draft eligibility. It's stupid because it was AI generated for the draft combine, and so basically like they take these stats and it's not like the real draft where they have scouts and they're like, this is the guy, you know what I mean? You have a visual human deciding, okay, we're gonna draft him for our team. It's not like that, which always kind of irked me because the draft, when you got to you're playing with random players. All right, so you're obviously, it would have been sick if I could play with my team at the time to become draft eligible. And my stats were, of the top tier to get drafted. And then it just, AI generates and they pick who they pick. And it even got conspiracy-esque where someone didn't make the draft and it got leaked that one of the GMs was like, yo, we need to have this guy in the league, and he got drafted, and he didn't make it, though, via the AI. So it was all a little sketchy.
Yeah, like everything.
Yep, like everything. But it is what it is. Definitely a good experience. Logged a lot out. I'm talking work this was like when I was bartending, and I'd be like fucking into the morning playing, because there's time slots you'd have to do to get to play for the draft, and you'd have to play like 50 games here and this and that. It was a lot, but definitely a sick. I always like that because it's like you're playing with a team. It's to me the closest
to actually playing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
100%, because it's strategy. There's roles. It's the whole thing. It's sick. It really is.
And obviously, you get to that level. You weed out those people that like it has to be all about them. They have to do all every time like you're playing a real pickup.
Well, there's some teams that are heavy with one player, and this, that, and the third, and you could just see like the team camaraderie is not good.
Yeah. And then a couple more here. Tommy saying The Last of Us was solid. Joey saying T. Lou is the next game on deck for Damon Corner.
That's The Last of Us.
And then TF Bruiser says Halo, 2K Golf, Rocket League, and at 18 holes at a real course. LOL. All on board for that.
Yeah.
The 2K Golf is great. We've done a couple of those gaming corners, Bruiser, if you want to check those out in the archives.
Yep.
For sure. So that's all stuff.
Gaming Corner playlist.
Yeah, Gaming Corner playlist, and every Wednesday. Start time recently
7.
has been 7. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's fluctuated over time, but that's what we've done recently.
Technical difficulties, this, that, and the third.
Yeah. And then really, the only other thing I wanted to mention, I just saw this. So I guess the Angels have signed former two-time All-Star and Chicago White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson, who has really struggled mightily over the past couple of years. And last year specifically, only one home run in 123 games. That was in 23, but in 24, 214, 0 home run, 65 games released. So he's really come a long way in terms of being one of the top shortstops in the game, and now really kind of, an afterthought. So kind of a no-risk type of move. I'm sure there wasn't many dollars there. And then a former Met reliever and a Diamondbacks reliever, Paul Sewald, 1 year, $7 million. And there's also a mutual option for 26, $1 million buyout with some bonuses. He was .431 ERA, 16 saves for the Diamondbacks, but lost his closer's job at the start of August, and his fastball velocity was down. So hoping that he kind of has a revival. But isn't it still crazy, Michael? The one last thing I just want to mention here is just, and this really isn't like this in any sport, but just the fact that, you got guys like Pete Alonso still out on the free agent market, other notable names. Isn't it kind of like it's not a good look for the sport to be this deep in the offseason and have guys that are, going to make good money? I mean, I know we could talk about Alonso specifically and say, well, I mean, it's just that, he has a higher valuation of himself. But I just feel like no other sport is like this. Am I wrong? Or?
No, yeah, you're right. People get paid that aren't nearly as have the credentials that Pete Alonso does, for example. And you can just look at the NBA.
Bregman as well. You're definitely right about there. But I don't know. I just think things should be more set. And it's crazy. I think Tony, deep down, I think he's nervous, but I think he thinks that Alonso's going to come back to the Mets. Do you?
I don't know.
I kind of think it's bitter right now. Mm-hmm. Stearns sticking his chest out.
Yeah.
Alonso doesn't want to hear it.
Can you link the Gaming Corner channel on the thread here, and I'll hit a follow there. A couple gaming channels. I don't want to be on the wrong one. No, it's on this YouTube in the playlist called Gaming Corner. So if you go to the main page and just scroll down, it starts with Sportsport. It's the most shows first, so that we run. So Sportsport's first. Then it's Binge Buddies, which are a movie TV review show. Then the Gaming Corner. Then Where's DTV Now, our vlog. Downtime TV Originals, short films. The Dream is Free podcast, new episode coming out Saturday. And Down the Rabbit Hole tomorrow.
Yours truly.
Yes, your boy with Mike. We have Vincent Scott coming back talking post-inauguration. Jacked up, talking all things going on in that world and the crypto world. So definitely tune in.
Do we have a start time on that one, or still?
I think I'm pretty sure it's 3:00.
3:00. Okay, gotcha. And
it might be 3 or 5, but let me just double check.
But then also to be followed by a primetime edition of Binge Buddies. Yep. You think there's any movie that Tony has found that would suffice for your viewing needs, Michael?
No, he hasn't watched anything recently. I know that. We might go see a movie tonight. He was, you know how he is when I bring up something and he's like, yeah. We'll see. And then it's like he's messaging me, what movie do you want to see the next day? So it's like, I'm pretty sure we're going to go see a movie.
You know what was a funny one from yesterday? Like the whole offsides thing, and then at the end.
Renee on top of it.
There we go.
Linking
Renee.
it right there.
Love it. Absolutely love it. That's why Renee's the best.
She is.
But no, how I was at the end of the whole offsides thing, I'm like, Tony, but let's be honest. It is kind of funny, right? And he goes, yeah, I guess it's funny. That's his thing though, when he's being serious. It's what's happening here?
Yeah, no, he loves to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
5 p.m.
5 p.m. All right, awesome. So definitely tune in for that, as well as another edition of the Sports Sport tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Big Sports Sport
back. Yeah,
no Sunday horseshoe.
No Sunday horseshoe
because of the Bills Mafia at the horseshoe. A lot of kids running around acting crazy.
But so we'll talk a lot of football. Tomorrow, as well as some more about the Farmers Insurance Open as well. NHL, hopefully recapping a Rangers win. So definitely tune in 10 a.m. tomorrow. Tony back to defend himself.
Oh, he's so riled.
There's gonna be some call-outs, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Hey, we're just having a good time like we always do. And we had a great time today.
Always.
Great job, Michael, holding it down there, filling in for Tony. And great job by everyone else interacting. And we encourage everybody to continue to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jay in costume. The merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games. Let's go Rangers, and we will see you
On
tomorrow.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.